Here at Krew Studios, we're never afraid to tackle those tough questions, to bring you the answers that you want and need. But today's gonna make some guys uncomfortable as we tackle that age-old question. Does size matter? Stick around to find out. What it do, Kripple Krew? EDC with DBD, disabled but deadly, and join me today as we use two USA-made bangers to tackle that age-old and taboo question, does size matter? Before we get into that, folks, stab that like button, like you mean it. Make sure that you have /subscribe, and also that you have bashed that bell for notifications so that you don't miss anything, like the review of this Kershaw Launch 21, also USA made, same parent company, KAI USA, for all three of these knives here, all three of which came in via the Lefty EDC Pass-Around group. Shout out to the Lefty Pass-Around group. But the knives that we're here to talk about today are the Kershaw Bel, and in this case, the clip point version, and the ZT0203. Both knives rocking that Kershaw Duralock technology. Both knives have, similar design, obviously, but completely different feel. We're going to start it off with the Bel. And the Bel clip point, this is the second blade shape, I believe, on the Bel. The Bel was dropped last year as Kershaw's answer to the Benchmade bug out, and because of the quality, the materials, and the overall value being better than that of the bug out to a lot of people, the Bel has been very successful. I'm going to hit you with some overall specs first. What you are looking at is a 7 1/4 inch overall length with a 3.05 inch Magna Cut clip point blade with a flat grind and a stone wash finish, coming in at 62 to 64 HRC. Very important. We have a close length of 4.2 inches. We have micarta scales, flat micarta over steel liners. We have a tip up, as the gods intended, deep carry and reversible pocket clip. The pocket clip is not inset, but it does have flat screws. And we have a blade stock thickness of 90 thousandths. That's right. Very thin, slicey blade stock. Even though it's a thin blade stock, using this wedge and this design, they've carried a fair amount of strength out to that tip. This is using Kershaw's Duralock crossbar lock running on their KVT ball bearings, and has thumb studs that absolutely work for the reverse flick. One thing that I've noticed about Kershaw, the weight. The weight on this is 2.6 ounces with full steel liners. They, full steel liners. They do not have any milling for weight reduction, making this very tough, yet still very light. That Duralock crossbar lock, it is locked up nice and solid. You can see the little divot where it drops in, where the crossbar drops in over the tang of the blade, and I don't have any blade play left or right, up or down. The feel on their spring took a minute for me to get used to. The Duralocks that I have felt, and you will see this on the ZT as well, are tuned with a very soft pull spring. To me, at first, I didn't like it because I like, you guys know, I like a stiffer spring in mine, but I realized it never fails to fire, ever. And you pull it back, it closes perfectly every time. It's just tuned softer, which actually makes it easier when my hands are cramping. if you have arthritis, nerve damage, or any other hand issues, this would be a crossbar lock that would be very easy to manipulate. I can manipulate it with just my finger or my thumb if need be. I'm going to give you some size comparisons. We will compare it to our other knife that we're looking at today in a moment. But how about the Hogue Deca, another in that, Benchmade bug out killer category. And as you can see, the Bel Air is a bit shorter than our Deca. We will put it between a Spyderco Paramilitary 2 Wharncliffe rendition and a Spyderco Para 3, and much closer to Para 3 size, still a little shorter than a Para 3. So it's definitely on the smaller size of EDC to me, at just 7 1/4 inches. That's medium, I should say. That's that medium size, but it's smaller than a Deca. So it's definitely bigger than a 5th pocket carry. I'm not saying this isn't a full-size knife for some people. It is smaller than I expected. Very thin, of course. Does it list that? 4400ths wide, so less than 1/2 inch wide. I like that you can choke all the way up behind that blade, and it is comfortable and like a utility grip to use that nice low clip point tip or a pinch grip. Behind the pivot, I do have a full 4-finger grip with my extra large glove size hands, not by a whole lot, but I do. And that jimping does actually lock me in. And then right up there behind the blade is where I feel like I have a lot of strength and control over the knife, because back here it does feel thin in my hands. If you guys are familiar with my bug out experience, the reason that I couldn't use or keep the bug out really was it was too thin in my hands. This isn't quite as narrow, but for some people they may have that issue. Others, if you have smaller hands than mine, this is going to be perfect. This is made to be your EDC companion. Very, very slicey with that thin MagnaCut blade. And if you're going to go thin, MagnaCut is a great steel to do it with, because it provides excellent toughness. So you're going to have strength behind this thinner edge. It's also highly corrosion resistant and holds an edge for a decent amount of time. MagnaCut is a great all-around steel, making it a great EDC steel, but specifically for this thin blade stock, it's one of the best options you could get. The pocket clip, it's a little short, but it does go in and out of the pocket very well. I had no issues with it going in and out of the pocket, even over my 5'11" tactical pants. That detent, it never fails. It is so snappy going out, and then the spring is so easy to pull back. I'm not saying that's a negative. I'm just saying it's noticeably smooth pulling it back. It is large enough to rock in a beef jerky Avenger grip if I need to, and the way that this pocket clip sticks up actually helps me lock in. And then I rock it over in a beef jerky Defender. Again, I'm locked in with that pocket clip. And with my Carta getting stickier if it gets wet, I definitely don't feel like I would slide on any beef jerky juice. We are centered. really open construction, 2 standoffs, and then without really any skeletonization in these liners, this is going to be very easy to keep clean. We are going to compare it to our next knife now, and that is the Oop, that was my bad. I was on the crossbar. I did it again. Zero tolerance. Let's do this without being a dork. Zero tolerance. There we go. 0203. And let's just say it ain't small. Here it is compared to the Bel Air clip point. Let's just put the Bel Air closed up next to the blade. If we go out to the tip, there's a size comparison for you folks that I'm amusing myself with. Before I give you the specs, let's compare this to a couple of other knives. We'll start out with the standard Spyderco Paramilitary 2. We'll back them both up against the edge. And the Para 3. And as you can see, it dwarfs the Para 3. Has a fair amount on even the Para 2. You're looking at an inch of difference there. We've got... Whoop, man, my hands aren't working today, folks. We've got the Cold Steel AD15. This is one of my beefiest folders, and it's also half an inch or more shorter, than the 0203. Similar overall width, though, and height to the scales. Let's check out one more. How about 2 more? First, we'll go with my largest crossbar lock. This is the Flytanium Beef, which, by the way, is getting an upgrade from D2 to 14C28N, and they listened and got rid of the stupid T6 hardware, and they're going to T8s coming very soon. I will let you know when those drop, and code EDCwithDBD will save 10%. And we'll compare it to that same Deca we compared to earlier. I think you get the point. The ZT0203 from Zero Tolerance is the largest crossbar lock knife I have ever handled. Also, the heaviest. And when I remember where to put my hand, it's actually quite easy to manipulate. So, what's our stats, our specs? You were looking at 9 1/4 overall inch length. That's why it was dwarfing everybody. That's right. This is 9 1/4 inches with a 4-inch CPM M4 blade. Look at that beautiful pooned drop point, almost spear point. No, that's a pooned drop point, we'll call it. You have a 5 1/4 inch close length. We have a blade stock thickness of 160 thousandths. That's right, 160 thousandths of CPM M4. You know this is going to be a tough blade, and it's going to hold an edge for a crazy amount of time. This does have a black PVD coating, which is going to help keep that corrosion at bay. And then our handle width is 69 hundredths. That's right. Not only does he got the length, he's got the girth. This is a big boy knife, and it comes in at 6.6 ounces. So, not quite 3 times the weight of the Bel Air. The Duralock on this, I like the stepped tabs on either side of that big, beefy crossbar We'll take a look in there in a second. But again, very soft pull. Very soft pull to pull it back. But the lockup is solid up and down as well. We have a big, thick stop pin here that goes in this notch in the tang of the blade, providing excellent stability. And then you've got that big old crossbar going over the tang of our blade there, and it goes pretty deep. So I mean, the lockup on this is crazy solid, and then it's so easy to disengage. So easy to disengage. Whoop, that's me. This is much easier to use when I'm not under the camera. But even if your hands were hurting, you could disengage this big chunky crossbar. I like the design with the pivot on this side. Oh, we're going to talk about hardware real quick on the Bel Air. We have T8 body screws. We have a 5/16 pivot. Yeah, you need a 5/16 wrench for that, or socket for that. And then, this makes no sense. We have T6s on the pocket clip. You give me a 5/16 here. Go beefy. And then throw some T6s on the reversible tip up deep carry pocket clip. Come on now. You're better than that, ZT. You're better than that. Also, this is we have a T8 pivot on our Bel Air, but T6 for everything else. I don't like that. I wish that was T8s all around. However, I did not mention the price on this when I had it out. These are listed at just under $200 on the Kershaw website, but I will link them below for $159. $159. To me, this brings a lot more value than a bug out in the same size range. Our ZT T6s suck, but we've got this big, massive M4 blade, 3D milled, contoured G10, big beefy standoffs. Our steel liners are thick but skeletonized, but they are thick, bringing a lot of that strength again. And while this is listed at just under $300, I will be listing it below for $283. Actually, and if you go to Lone Star Knife and Tool Supply, I'm going to check that price real quick. Okay, Lone Star Knife and Supply does not have this model at the moment, but I do have a discount code for his website that, and his website will be linked below, because he has the ZT0308 for $275, and code DBD saves 10%. It might be code DBD10. I'll put it on the screen. I'll put it in the link below. But when you see his, and Lone Star is a small USA business who's growing his inventory, working only with American knives and tools. So definitely check his website out when you're looking for ZTs, because it's one of the few that you can save 10% on ZT knives. However, the link below will have this for $283, and if you have big hands and big pockets, I think that is definitely a fair price for USA made, this much M4 steel, this level of quality, and to get ZT's first crossbar. I do think it's definitely a fair price. Now, ergos behind the pivot. I have a full 4-finger grip and then a whole lot more. I can chop back, or I can choke back if I needed to do some chopping with this, or if I needed some reach. You can choke right up on that pivot, and you've got nice jimping here and a ramp to lock you in a saber grip. You can choke up right there. Then you've got this nice little dip that you can drop your thumb into that little poonage area there. And this absolutely works for me as a full finger choil, and you can really choke in for some work. Chamfered edges allow you to use it in a pinch grip to get control of that blade and use that nice tip there. Also, really easy to throw a finger up on in a utility grip to get control of that big blade. So much room to turn it around and cut straps with. In a beef jerky Avenger, I've got that thumb ramp there. I am capped off, going nowhere. And in a beef jerky Defender, it's not nearly as comfortable, but I've got a lot of grip and a lot of reach. You know who I know would love this would be my large-handed lefties like Tristan. Man, my brother War Room would love this. So, very different knives from the same company. Perfectly centered. The big thumb studs are large enough to manipulate even with gloves, and this tab would work very well with gloves. The pocket clip does go in and out of the pocket very easily. It is a very noticeable pocket presence, but I mean similar overall to the 8015, just 6.5 ounces, which is also similar to the 8015. So if you carry one of these anyway, this is gonna give you some extra reach with that about the same weight. Now, the question in the beginning was, does size matter? And it really depends on the task, but absolutely the size of your hands matter. If you don't have large, at least, I would say extra large, if you don't wear at least an extra large glove, this is not going to be the easiest knife for you to manipulate. I got a very dear brother in the Kripple crew whose hands this would absolutely be too large for, but who I believe has a Bel Air already and loves it. We all know that he likes this size, being an avid collector of bug outs. So yes, depending on your hand, size does matter and what you're looking to do. This makes a phenomenal everyday carry knife to do your slicing, opening cardboard, opening your mail, slicing up your lunch, whatever you need to do, cut some rope, whatever you need to do during your day. Not heavy duty tasks because of our thinner blade, but very definitely light and medium duty tasks all day long. Now, for longer extended times using the knife, if you've got larger hands, it might get uncomfortable just because of how narrow it is. But if you're looking for a knife that you can put in some hard work with and take to battle with you, that's where the ZT0203 really shines. This is a knife built like a tank that gives you that ambidextrous crossbar. Oh, by the way, I don't remember if I said this is running on phosphor bronze washers, as all tough crossbar lock knives should be. And this is absolutely the stoutest built crossbar in every measure, except for those stupid pocket clip screws, but the stoutest built crossbar system that I have ever felt. It is absolutely a tough knife. that will, I mean, you could take this out hunting with you. This is you could take this backpacking, like, I mean, weight matters. But if you were worried that you were going to come up on something that you needed a big old knife for, this works. And you know what? It still fits in my 5th pocket. So if you wear 5'11" tactical pants and have that magazine pocket up front, I mean, technically, it's only a 5th pocket carry. I want to know what you guys think. I think these are both phenomenal knives for different uses and different people. However, they would make a killer 1-2 punch, wouldn't they? You know, one in one pocket, one in the other. You ready to go? But let me know down below. Again, I will link these down below. Also, don't forget that our homeboy, Lone Star Knife and Supply, he's trying to get his store up and going. He's got a pretty good selection already of some awesome USA-made blades. That's a great place to get TRM from because you can use the code to get 10% off. So, just shout out my boy. Also, don't forget, we've got the 2,500 subscriber giveaway coming on October 4th at 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern, and we have a lot of knives and tools and gear going in that giveaway. So you're going to want to be there. Stay safe, stay frosty, but most importantly, folks, stay deadly.